Why do we see so many construction projects fail? Why do we see so many negative relationships with contractors? Why do so many construction projects cost more than they originally are budgeted to cost? Why are so many people experiencing bad construction projects? I'm going to talk about what I've learned in this industry as a contractor, and I think I know the reasons why most construction projects fail. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about some of the most important things that I've learned as a contractor from my experience in residential and commercial construction. And it's to give everyone a perspective, a contractor's perspective, so they can understand more about the world of construction through the lens of a contractor. Construction, something that very few people understand in totality. And I've been involved in residential, I've been involved in commercial projects for almost 15 years now in Baltimore City. You know, I didn't start out at construction. I started out in business. Actually, I started out in accounting, taxation, business development work, also youth development work. I work with a number of youth and young adults throughout Baltimore City. So I've had a lot of experience in analyzing kind of the social culture of the world around us. So when we get into construction, construction isn't any different. You're dealing with people. So if you have a history of understanding people, then it's easier to understand some of the pitfalls that happen in the construction world that are due to people's shortcoming. So I want to talk about what I think are some of the most important elements that I've learned as a contractor in my little bit of 15-year experience. And, you know, some of the things that I'm going to talk about, contractors won't tell you, right? There's some things that aren't said that are understood in the construction world, but I think it leaves a very huge space for misunderstandings to happen, and those understandings do happen all the time in residential and commercial real estate. So first, character to me is everything in construction. Some people put skill first. Some people put price first. I need character to be first. If I'm working on a project and, you know, I need to hire a plumber, I need to hire a drywall installer, I need to hire someone to put in the ceiling tile system. Yes, there's a factor, or I'm going to factor their pricing. I'm going to factor their ability. But most importantly, the thing that I'm going to look at is their character. And a lot of times in construction, character is indicative of performance. You know how sometimes you may get a hunch about someone when you first meet them, something about their character, and then later something happens where, you know, their performance kind of validates that hunch that you felt. Well, that happens a lot in construction, right? So one of the things that I value the most in construction is the assessment of character. You got to have the right character to make people feel comfortable about your participation in a project. Now, some people don't care. Some clients don't care. Some building owners don't care. They want something, come in, do it cheap, or do it for whatever price, get out of there. That's okay. But you know, as a general contractor, the level of involvement that I have my hands in a construction project requires me to have or maintain good relationships with everybody involved, even the delivery driver, right? Everybody involved, I want to have a good relationship with. Relationships are built around character or are shaped by character of people. So character is very, very important to me in construction. Number two, financial management is required at every level of construction. You don't have to be an accountant, but you have to have some degree of financial, accountability in order to make sure that you're not way over costs. So I mean, it's financial accountability means you're paying attention to costs. You're able to produce information related to costs. If you need a sort of a financial indicator to get you to a certain point or to start another phase of a project, good financial management is essential. I mean, I don't care if you're the guy just coming to sweep up or the woman just coming to sweep up. Financial management means you're accountable of two important assets: time and money. And I say time because people are paid based off of time. So time for me is included in that understanding or that requirement of financial management, right? You have to account for time. So financial management is definitely required. I mean, from the guy at the bottom to the owner of the building, I just think financial management is imperative. Now, I know my background is in accounting, so some may think I'm a little biased to that requirement, but at the end of the day, this thing revolves around money. A construction project revolves around money, and I don't think there's anyone involved at any type of level of construction that wants to waste money. Number 3, timing is everything. Timing is everything. And I'm not just talking about being on time. I'm talking about being able to assess I'm talking about being able to assess the trajectory of a project based on timing. Now, in construction, there are things that you can forecast. There are things that you can't forecast that are going to affect timing. But a good contractor or a good steward of a construction project is one that is able to time things most efficiently. So we have to be conscious of time in construction. You have to be conscious of the best times to do things, the best times not to do things, right? We're talking about time of day. We're also talking about the time of season, the time throughout the year. Timing is very critical to managing and completing a good construction project. Another very important thing that I've learned in construction, common sense isn't that common. There are things that you'll see in a construction project that, for those of us, I'm going to say, that are common sense conscious, we'll see things and like, wow, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to understand that should have been cleaned up, or this should have been done first, or that process should have happened before this thing happened, right? We call that common sense because it doesn't take a degree. It doesn't take 7 years of education to understand that this event should have happened before this event. And I'm telling you, I've seen it in construction. I've seen it so many times. Things weren't done that I would look at and say, wow. I mean, I think a 5th grader would have probably picked this up. So common sense it's almost a luxury in some cases, unfortunately, and it is what it is. Look, I'm not making this up. This is my experience in construction, and I think I'm a pretty fair and reasonable guy in terms of my expectations. I mean, I expect minimum and beyond, but when folks do things that aren't even at minimum level, that really weren't that complex to understand that those things should have been done, I get very frustrated. And I've had to work on that because there's a lot of that, right? So I've had to work on that because I don't want to be the frustrated GC at every job site. So I've come to understand that common sense isn't that common. Another thing that I've learned that is, and this is something that it's like a shaped philosophy. The work site to me is a battlefield. On a battlefield, it's very intense. Timing is important. Things can happen so quick, and if the wrong things happen, people die or people get hurt. That's the seriousness of a battlefield. I look at construction projects as a battlefield because I believe the same thing. Not I believe, I know the same thing applies. If something wrong is done, somebody can get hurt, somebody can get killed. This happens in construction. People regularly get hurt, people regularly get killed in construction projects. Sure, renovating your bathroom, probably the risk factor of someone dying isn't that high, right? But when you're talking about building a 3-story multifamily, building or even doing something on your roof and it's 2 or 3 stories high, small mistakes can lead to very big consequences that can equate to people getting hurt or people dying. So I look at a construction site as a battlefield, meaning we have to do as much planning and safety management implementation as much as possible to make sure that people don't get hurt and people don't die. I always tell my guys when we're working, my number one job as the GC or the guy leading the team is to make sure everybody gets home safe. The number one. So I see a work site as a battlefield in construction. Another thing that I've learned as a contractor in my years of contracting, everyone involved in the project will not see the vision. You have so many people. You have a plumber, you have the mechanical engineer, you have the architect, you have the masonry, you have the concrete team, you got you have so many people involved in a construction project. Everyone involved is not going to see the vision. Maybe it's the vision of the building owner, maybe it's the vision of the architect. Everyone is not going to see the vision. So as the leader in a construction project, why this is important to understand is because you have to command people based on function, not necessarily vision, because everybody's not going to see the vision. You can't expect the drywall guys to see the big vision. You can't expect the electrician to see the vision, because when people don't see the vision, they tend to just see their job. They just only see their small part. And that's acceptable, but it can lead to communication problems. It could also lead to issues that may affect the next trade that's coming in. So I'm a visionary. I get the vision. I could look at a rundown, torn down piece of property, and I could see the full property right after it's done. I can see it. I see that vision. But I can't expect my team members, to see the vision all the time. So I have to lead accordingly. But yeah, just because someone is on the job site, it does not mean they see the vision. Okay. Very important too for homeowners, especially when you're doing renovations. You see something. You have this vision. So that's why you go and hire the contractors to execute and bring to life this vision that you see. Don't expect for everyone that's going to be involved in that project to see the same thing you see. So you have to manage people accordingly to their specific function, and you ultimately are responsible for the manifestation of the full vision. So if the vision doesn't turn out the way you think it should, you can't necessarily blame the electrician. You can't necessarily blame the delivery guy. It's just not in their scope sometimes to see the vision. So understand that, okay? Contractors won't tell you this, but that's just it, right? Very few people see it and have the ability of managing and manifesting a full vision. Something else that I've learned, strong, grounded leadership is very important in this business. You got to understand that in construction, you got people at the bottom of the barrel, you have people at the top of the chain. You have all these people in between. Strong leadership is required to manage all these people. You're managing personalities. You're managing anger management issues within people. You're managing personality conflicts. You're managing so much. You have to be a strong leader in order to ensure that the project is completed, because a lot of people, even if they work for contractors, right? A lot of people, workers, construction workers, they'll bring their mess, their inner turmoil to the work site. And if it goes unchecked, that can and will impede the progress of the work site. So leadership is required to deal with two things. One, that personality issue, or that issue that's going on within that person, and two, manage the work process, right? And that's not easy to do, especially when there's ego involved. So strong leaders are required, especially tough projects. You have to have strong leaders. I don't care about the price. I don't care about the capacity. All right, I'm not going to say I don't care about it, but when I'm choosing or evaluating a subcontractor that I know that has to bring in a team, I'm looking at that subcontractor to be a strong leader. If they're not a strong leader, to me, that says they're not going to be able to control their people. And that means I have to inherit that. Well, what's the point of having that subcontractor, right? Just give me the people. So strong leadership is required. And that's something that I've seen over and over and over. And that, I mean, for me, strong leadership it's top of the line, right? It's a priority. Something else that I've learned from construction, the owners of a project or a building, they need to be involved. They need to be involved in the oversight. I'm not saying they have to do the plumbing or they have to do the electric, but they need to be involved in the oversight to catch things when they happen, minimize things from happening, and fix things when they happen. And if owners take a greater role in that, it's going to save them time and money down the line. You don't want to catch a mistake too late. You know, you don't want to find out about this serious problem after the walls have been put up. So, you know, I know some folks want to be hands off. They just want to pay somebody and, hey, just get it done. Well, you know, maybe that worked in the old days, doubt it, but it definitely doesn't work now, okay? Because trust is a rare commodity. So I believe owners should be involved in the oversight. Owners should be regularly checking to make sure that a project is moving forward accordingly and not just leave it in the hands of, now again, a contractor is not going to give this advice to a building owner because the contractors, you know, they want to come off as, hey, they got it, I got it, I got it. I don't care. You know, even if I have a very competent contractor, as a building owner, I want to be involved in making sure that the milestones are being met, that mistakes are avoided, and that problems that do arise are dealt with immediately. I don't want to find out later about something that could have been dealt with beforehand. So I believe owners need to be involved. Something else that I've learned, and this is, you know, this is a sentiment that many people share. Artistry and craftsmanship are dying. We've left the world of doing something right, doing something that looks good, doing something that has come together so well, and appreciating the beauty of that craftsmanship, appreciating the visual art of what's happening. We've left that world, and now we're in this huge world of get it done, get it rented, get it done, get it sold. You know, get it done, move in. Like we're in a world where now it's almost like the microwave sensation. We want things built quick, we want things built fast, and we want to move on. And because of that, because artistry and craftsmanship is dying, it's also getting more expensive. If you want a very nice tile job in your bathroom, it's going to be expensive to find a good tile setter. Why? Because the artistry of tile is dying. With prefab shower kits and everything, you know, that you can throw together. I mean, it's really eliminating the need. And so it's becoming more of a want, more of a luxury, right? Having the custom made stuff done. And that is going to drive the expenses because the availability of the people who can do those things at a high level, those artists, they're becoming more and more rare because they're not in demand in the big box house or the big box commercial building construction. Again, it's all about getting something done quick, moving on. Construction was born out of craftsmanship. It was born out of artistry. I mean, when you look at houses and buildings from around the world that were done or that use older techniques, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. I mean, we have a society that still reveres ancient building techniques because the beauty is there, right? The craftsmanship was there. We don't look at new buildings the same, new houses the same. And it's bigger than just granite countertop and nice vanity lights. It's much, much bigger. So artistry, craftsmanship, because it's dying, it's kind of being pushed aside. It's also getting more expensive. So understand that if you want someone to rebuild your shower in your home, there's going to be two different price points. If you want that shower kit from Home Depot or whatever, yeah, that's going to be a much cheaper price. But if you want that custom, that amazing looking tile job that when people come in, they say, wow, and they just can't stop looking at the design, the aesthetic, the visual feeling that comes from this tile, it's going to be much more expensive. Why? Because there are not a lot of people that are doing it now. And those folks who do it, they're in demand, right? They're busy. Anybody in construction that is good, they're busy. So artistry and craftsmanship is dying, therefore it's making it more expensive. So understand that. Now, again, a lot of contractors won't tell you this, but this is the truth. So if I want to hire someone per se to do shower or bath installation, the one that's going to do the tile work is going to be more expensive than the person who is just good at putting in tub surrounds. All right? It is what it is. So I think this is very, very important, and I've learned this as a contractor. You have to lead with confidence. A contractor has to lead with confidence. We go up against some very tough, challenging situations where you see people's confidence fluctuate, okay? Small project, large project, you have multiple people involved. Confidence is going to increase willpower. Willpower is going to increase the chances of that thing being done. Lack of confidence means lack of willpower. And lack of those things mean most likely that challenge that we are presented with most likely won't get tackled or won't be done right. So as a contractor, I've learned that I have to lead on the battlefield with confidence. I have to believe in myself. I have to believe in the outcome that we can achieve. I have to believe in the process. I have to believe in my people. And my confidence is then going to affect, right, the others that are working with me. If I lack that confidence, it's going to show in the rest of the team. So a contractor really has to lead any type of construction project with a high level of confidence, not arrogance, confidence. As a contractor, I don't know everything. I don't think my job is to know everything. But where my confidence lies in is my ability to learn, my ability to accept, my ability to grow, my ability to share, my ability to take on a problem and execute the discipline to properly attack that problem. That is where my confidence is the highest at. I know I'm going to do the thing. I know I'm going to study. I know I'm going to research. I know I'm going to show up. I know I'm going to give my 1,000% effort to this particular project. So confidence to me is just one of the top things that a contractor has to have in order to be successful in this business. Now, the reason why I'm sharing these things is I want people to understand the way I think as a contractor. Contractors aren't from Pluto. We're people. And people, regardless of the field you're in, people have to subscribe to a certain mindset in order to be successful. Contractors have to do the same thing. So don't make the mistake of just looking at price, just looking at skill, when analyzing a contractor, you need to also analyze the mind of a contractor. How many people have horror stories about construction projects? Most, right? I think most people. I think there are more people who have had bad experiences with the construction project, residential or commercial, than there are people who have had a good experience. And a lot of times, the reasons why points to the contractor. So the whole point of this show is to help people understand how we contractors think, how we should be thinking, positioning ourselves, and hopefully that can help others, building owners, whether residential or commercials, to better evaluate and select the contractors that they're going to work with on their project, because the right or wrong contractor will make or break your project. So, thanks for tuning into the show. Thanks for listening. I hope something that I'm saying can help you with your residential or commercial construction project. I am Munir Bahar. This is Conversations with a Contractor. Tune in next time.